Dear Training Diary is done. I did it. I did the BMO half marathon on Sunday, and I have lived to tell the tale. Although, I mean, living through it was never the question. Actually, thriving was really what we were going for. So I did it. So let's talk race recap, right? Like, I'll spill all the deets. I'll give you all the gossip, the inside scoop. It was crazy. So we got there nice and early. I was so lucky. I had my mom and my sister, thank goodness, and they were actually able to take our gear. So I had my run buddy, Guy's sister, with me. And so my mom and sister took our gear, so we didn't have to go through gear check. Guy's sister and myself, so my little run buddy and we got to the corrals and we were waiting, and it was a 7 a.m. start, and we ended up getting delayed because of a police incident until 8. So we didn't know we were going to get delayed until 8. The announcer just kind of kept saying like, hey, thank you everyone, for waiting around. Like, where were we going in the corrals? So thanks for waiting around. We'll let you know as soon as we can get started. So I won't lie, like it definitely, there was like that nervous excitement on the morning of, and you're kind of like running a little bit on adrenaline and coffee. And then getting to that start line and getting kind of revved up and ready to go, and then having to wait, it did kind of like suck some of that verve or that enthusiasm out. But but then once we kind of got the green light to go and we started going, we revved back up. We got some pep in our step. So we seated ourselves between the 140 and the 150 pace bunny. So we just kind of went right in the middle. And our plan on race day was to have a negative split. So we wanted to kind of set a good pace for the first half and then turn up the heat a little bit on the second half. And so we started off, there were a lot of people. And we started off and we set a pretty decent pace, like we thought. And we noticed the 150 pace bunny just kind of coming up a little bit behind us. And so we picked up our pace a little bit. And part of it, I think, was there were so many people that you don't want to waste too much energy kind of like going past them, because you kind of get your pace and then you have to speed up a little bit and then to find your pace. And, that eats up some energy. So we had just kind of settled into what was a good pace given the amount of people. But then seeing that 150 pace bunny behind us, we realized that we had to pick it up a little bit. So we picked it up. We had some jazz going. We had some, what would it even be? We had some jazz, we had some pep, we had some boost right there. And we were cooking along probably until the first 10K. We did it pretty quickly. I think that the average pace for the first half ended up being something like 5:11. And we got to about 13K. And I could just see that my run buddy had a little bit more. Like, it almost kind of looked like she was holding back a little bit. And I was like, just go. Because we're trying to get like a great time. So she just kind of kept it going. So she went ahead, and I just kind of like settled into my pace and did the second half of the race. So we ended up finishing within, I think it was like 5 minutes of each other. So I crossed the line at 154. So 154 is where I crossed the line. Now, I feel really good about that. And I'm super pleased with my training. That being said, I kind of knew, no, I didn't know, but we really did we'll say like from 0 to 13K, because that's where I said go ahead or whatever. So up to about the 13K marker, we were really cooking along, and it was definitely racing. I would say you want to be, I always say comfortably uncomfortable. That's kind of like my race mantra. Like, I don't want to feel super cozy. but I don't want to feel like I'm flatlining it because I know I have a whole race. And I would say that I was teetering with that comfortably uncomfortable on just uncomfortable. So I was giving it a little bit extra right from the get-go. But I was able to give that extra, like I said, for 13K before I had to kind of just settle into my pace a little bit more for the last 8K. And then I was able to get that 154 time, which was really great. But now I'm kind of wondering, what could I do with my training that maybe I could keep that pace a little faster and maybe see if I could get that like 149 time. Like, could I shave off 5 minutes? I don't know. Here's the thing, like, I think I've mentioned to you before, road running is not my first love, but this is, I don't know, this challenge is enticing. Could I do it? So I don't know. We'll see. Like, I'm just throwing this out there. This is not set in stone. This is just us gabbing about it. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I've been thinking, like, you know, what it might be like to do another road half to see if I could kind of like push that pace a little bit more and challenge myself and see if I could get that 149. And also like the challenge of what that would look like for my training. So what I've done with each phase of my training is at the end of each phase, I've sat down and just kind of written how I felt, things that I thought went really well, things that maybe I would do differently moving forward, so that I have that and I can kind of go back and go, oh, okay, that worked really well, maybe that didn't. And now, having done the race, what I really like to do, and what I'm going to do, is just kind of write down how I felt during the race physically. Like, I felt like I had, you know, good strength, I had good power on the hills, or what have you. I felt like maybe I could have had more of this, or whatever. So I just want to do like a little recap of how I felt during the race, and then I want to compare the two. So, you know, how did the training kind of stock up to the event? And if I were, not saying I'm going to, but if I were to try for maybe another half marathon and kind of really push the pace, what would I do differently? And that would give me a good place to kind of start or assess where I would want to do something differently, or maybe I would want to add something in. Yeah. So that's where I am. So thank you. I mean, although too, we have to remember 15 weeks. That's a long time. That's a long time to dedicate for a fun goal of pushing the pace. But yeah, I don't know. It will be fun. I think it will be fun. You guys are talking me into it. You know what? You're a bad influence. We'll leave it here. So race day came. I felt really good, felt really strong, was able to really push that pace outside of kind of my standard like fast pace, which was really cool, and able to hold on to it for 13K, and then kind of settled into a little bit of a slower pace for the last 8K, which was fine too. But super proud of my time overall and very happy with my training. And yeah, next up, I am looking at maybe a off-road triathlon to trade things up and switch it up, and maybe try some mountain biking and trail running instead of the road running. But before all that, I am giving my body a break. So my general rule of thumb is, for every hour the event takes you, that's how long you should take off from just kind of training. So I kind of rounded up to 2 hours, and I said at least 2 days off. But I don't know if that's taking into account, when I use that general rule of thumb, that I had a birthday week with a sunrise hike and many friends and all late nights. So I'm going to give myself this week, actually, with just really light to like minimal active recovery type stuff, and then kind of figure out where to go from there. And once I figure that out, you will be the first to know. So thank you for following along with me on this journey, and well, we'll see what's next.